Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Run It Up Wednesday. It is Gwen Jameer. I'm very thrilled to be here with you today. And I'm going to wait till some of you get into the room. Today, we're going to be talking about a pretty hot button topic, which is the Trump DEI fallout. Now, I know a lot of people have been talking about this. I know a lot of people have been have extreme feelings about this. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you some facts. But beyond the facts, right? Because I like statistics, I like numbers, which is interesting because I'm actually a right-brained person. I'm not a left-brained person. Left-brainers are people who are more analytical. They like numbers, they like graphs, things like that. Right-brained people are more creative. They're more kind of like pie in the sky, woo-woo, right? So I'm a right-brained person, but I'm somewhat, and maybe it's because I'm a Gemini, right? Like I have two like sides. I actually really like numbers and statistics as well. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with you guys some actual numbers and facts. Okay. Some actual facts, right? Temple Wellness says she's in the middle of the two extremes, right? It's so interesting, right? How you can be like on one side of your brain, but like you can sometimes kind of shift over to the other side. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us amazing and unique. Good afternoon, Lysandra. How are you? Welcome, rich friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Everybody get on in the room, get on in the room, right? Now, again, like I know this is a very, very, very hot topic. People have extreme feelings about it, okay? But what I've learned is that we all, as people, right? We all tend to have feelings about things, but feelings are always facts. And I'm going to give you some actual facts, but beyond that, what I find a lot of people like to do is they like to complain. They like to complain about what's happening, but not actually have a solution. What I'm going to do today is actually give you a solution or some solutions to what's happening and what might be happening with your job, with your, if you have like government benefits in any sort of way, right? We're going to come up with some solutions to these things and not just complain about it on social media, right? So yes, complaints, concerns, worries, they're all valid, but we can't just sit around and not do anything. We have to do something in the meantime, right? If you're with that, like give me a thumbs up in the comments. If you're with the solutions, but if you don't want solutions, you can sit here and listen to me as well. But I just thought that amongst all the rhetoric that I'm hearing, amongst, everybody's very valid feelings about how, what is happening or what might be happening, there's a lot of things that are just not rooted in fact, first of all. And then secondly, there are some things that are desperately like there's a need for, hey, here's what you do now, right? Because it's like, okay, cool, like this is happening, or not cool, whatever. This is happening. What do I do now? Like we got to figure out what we do now. In the midst of it, like we can only focus on things that we can control. We cannot control what Trump has decided to do, or what he's trying to do, right? But we can come up with ways to help ourselves in the meantime, right? Because what's the point of complaining if you ain't gonna do nothing about it? And I'm just that kind of friend. Like I'm that kind of friend in general. Like if my friends call me and they're complaining about a situation, like I'm gonna listen to you once or twice, maybe 3 times. But by the third conversation, I'm like, girl, what is the solution? What we gonna do about it? Right? Like we can't change that it happened, but what are we gonna do? Right? So let's figure out what we're going to do. And if you have not liked this video yet, do me a favor and like the video, press the like button. Let me know where you're coming in from. I see y'all coming in from y'all over here on YouTube. Y'all ain't said nothing to me yet. Lysandra said hey, Jasmine said hey, Lydia said hey. I ain't seen the rest of y'all at all. So let me know where you're dialing in from, where you're watching from. Also over on Instagram, if you're watching live, which you more than likely are if you're watching on Instagram, let me know where you're watching from. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So excited to have you. Hey, Jackie. By the way, I will be sharing a couple of images and graphs and charts and things like that over here on YouTube. I don't have that opportunity on Instagram. If you would like to have the full experience of my shows, you're going to want to pop on over to Instagram. I'm sorry, over onto YouTube. Now, you simply need to look for The Get Money Show. Just search for The Get Money Show on YouTube. I will pop up. You'll see my face. You'll see me talking. I use my hands a lot when I'm talking. See my hands moving all over the place. And I'll be over here, right? But we would love to have you over here. The real party's over here anyway. So if you can, pop on over to YouTube. If not, you can stick around on Instagram. But again, you won't get the full breadth of what we do over here on YouTube. Okay. Hey, Pamela, rich friend from Michigan. Hey, Valika. Hello, Charmaine. Hey, rich friend. Hey, Shana. Who else is here? Carmen from South Carolina. Idris is coming in from Louisiana. Paula, Madison. Hey, girl. Hey, Rosa, Denise, Jackie. All you guys are here. I'm so thrilled to see you. Thank you for being here. And do me a favor, share this live because I know I talk a lot about like stock investing. I talk a lot about what companies to look at. What I got all that, right? We got all that coming on the on this channel. But this is something that's going to affect people like today, like right now, that they need to start doing because it's a very, very, very sensitive but extremely important topic that you need to take action on right now. Hey, Shonda. Okay, you can't get on YouTube at work, so you go and watch on Instagram. That's crazy. They let you get on Instagram, but they don't let you get on YouTube. That's weird. But I'm glad that you're able to join over on Instagram. All right. Shonda is a rich friend too. So hey, friend. Hey, friend. Gigi says, see, she says, we're sitting here with our mouths wide open, waiting for the fish feed from my Gwen. Rhonda's in Florida. Hey, Sharetta. Hey, Karen. Hey, Boo. Hey. Kenyatta is here as well. All right. Again, do me a favor, share this live. But I want to thank every one of you who were in the in the Fix My Money Challenge just last week. Proud of so many of you guys for finishing. Hey, Barbara. Proud of so many of you guys for finishing. Congratulations to you. Those of you who have joined My Rich Friends, we're super happy to have you over there. If you haven't joined My Rich Friends, make sure that you check out the link and join. Deadline to join is Friday, February 1st. So depending on when you're watching this, hopefully you watch it in time so you don't miss the deadline, okay? All right. So I'm going to drop the link here real quick. And if you haven't liked this video yet on YouTube, please press the like button. That does a couple of things. One, it allows the algorithm to know that you like this kind of content. So it will continue to serve you financial, money-based content from creators such as myself and others. In addition to that, it will also let other people know, hey, this is a viable and really important topic that other people tend to like. So we're going to spread the word so other people can see this on their feed, and hopefully they will continue to, they too will watch the video and get something out of it as well, right? It costs you nothing. It's absolutely free. Help me get to 100 likes by the time I get off this live tonight. Okay. So right now we got about half that many people on here. If every single one of you click the like button, we'll be halfway done and we're not even 10 minutes in yet. So just do me a favor and click the like button. I appreciate you. My nephew Bryce is over on Instagram. I also see Reggie. What's up, Reggie? Over on Instagram watching. I appreciate you guys for being here. I love you both. Mwah. All right. I'm going to drop the link in the chat real quick for My Rich Friends, and then we're going to go ahead and get into this topic. All right. And drop me a comment if you have not yet, and let me know where you're watching from. Over on Instagram, let me know where you're watching from too. What up, though, in Detroit? I see y'all. All right. My Rich Friends. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it today because we have a lot to cover today. And I want to make sure that we can get to everything. But if you simply click the link that I've posted, you will see pretty much everything there is to know in great detail on that page. All right. So let's get into this topic about DEI and Trump and the urgency of the DEI fallout and all that sort of stuff. So let's talk about why this matters. And let me know in the comments how you feel. Just drop me a comment. How you feeling? Like, what's your emotion right now when you think about DEI and what's happening with it? Are you optimistic? Are you angry? Do you not care? Does it not matter to you? Are you like feeling kind of like rebellious about it? Like, what is your feeling? Just, one or two words, how you're feeling right now in this moment, knowing everything that is happening with stores dropping their, DEI initiatives, as well as some of the freezes that are happening, some of the government freezes that may affect folks who may benefit from DEI, that sort of thing. So let me know your comment. Let me know in the comments. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Karen, coming from Alabama. Trinette is here as well. Kenyatta as well. Jackie says, it doesn't surprise me, but it's unsettling. I have to say, I feel similar, Jackie. Like, I'm not surprised by any of it, but I'm just like, ugh. Karen says she's hot like fire. She's pissed off about it, right? She's not happy at all. By the way, again, press the like button. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button and let's get into it. So let's talk about why DEI matters or why this topic is important, right? So just for, those who might be in the dark, right? Or sitting under a rock for some reason. So DEI was originally positioned as a step forward in like equity and inclusion, but a lot of companies are starting to abandon these initiatives that they once took on, which for a lot of us feels like they were never really about true change. They were just about optics, right? And so I have to say that I'm on a number of boards for different organizations and companies. And there's a couple of them that I'm on the board, and I have said before that it feels like it's just optics, right? Like we want to make sure that we are representing the visual of diversity, right? So it'll be a lot of, Asian Americans, Indian Americans, or East Indian Americans, Black Americans, or what have you, LGBTQ, blah, 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 blah. But they don't really have a say on those boards, right? They're just there. They're at the meetings. We're just sitting there. If there is a committee that somebody wants to start, or if there's an initiative someone has a question about, or even more so, if there is a problem that someone cites as needing to be fixed, a lot of times, they're just there for the visuals. They're not really there in a way that's going to affect any real change, right? And so what it feels like with this DEI fallout, and especially a lot of our, well-known companies that most of us shop at, it feels like that. It feels like it was just for show. It doesn't feel like it was legit at all. And Shauna says that she's worried about how this is going to affect her granddaughter's future. That's super valid. Karen says that it affects her terribly. Her daughter is a single college student with several benefits that will affect her directly and thus affecting her because she's probably paying for her daughter's college, right? That makes sense. K-Lom4 says, as a Black federal employee, I feel like there's a big target on my back. Yikes. I'm going to actually share something that I think you'll resonate well with, K-Lom. LaShawn says, USDA 1890 National Scholars Program informational webinars was postponed. This was a scholarship program for brown college students. It's just nonsense. Yeah. Yep. Let's see who else has something to say. Gigi is so stressed out and Rhonda is feeling uneasy. Yeah. So, Shonda's over here. Glad to see you got over here, Shonda, from YouTube. All right. By the way, again, if you haven't liked this video, press the like button. We're over halfway there in terms of people who are on. If every single one of you press the like button, we'll get there before I get off. Okay. So like I said, it just feels like it was for optics, right? And so people who thought that DEI would provide job security are now finding themselves to be expendable. And that was a horrible feeling, right? Like on this channel, we talk about finances, we talk about money, all that sort of stuff. And I'm always telling you guys, invest in the stock market and make sure you have a 401k and make sure you are, saving your money. Well, how do you do that if your very livelihood is like on the chopping block, possibly, right? But the fallout is actually hitting Black professionals the hardest. And I feel like that's most of you. But what's even more important to know about that is that the lack of economic power amongst the Black community is actually makes us always at the mercy of these corporate decisions, right? So I realize that my audience is not just Black, right? And I appreciate everybody who is here, no matter what your background, no matter what your color or what have you, right? I'm not here to, to rally anything like that. But I am a Black woman, right? At the end of the day, in case you hadn't noticed, I am Black. And so I happen to be affected by the things that a lot of my audience, majority of my audience is affected by as well. So I'm going to talk about some things that may not be relevant today, or may not feel relevant to the other parts of my audience. But today we're going to talk about how this is affecting mostly African Americans. However, I do want to point out that when people think of DEI, they tend to think that equates to Black. And that is not true when it comes to hiring. And these are the facts that I want to make sure that we are focusing on, okay? Despite the fact that less than 6% of DEI hires are Black, those less than 6% DEI hires are actually the most affected by these changes. Does that make sense? So let me run that back again. Less than 6% of DEI hires are Black. So again, when we think of DEI, we think of Black, or when we think of diversity. Anytime you think of diversity, most people think that means Black, and that is not the case, right? Diversity literally means pretty much anybody that wasn't born a white male with a penis. Anybody else qualifies as diverse. That's white women, that is Asians, Indians, Native Americans, Blacks, people who are immigrants from other countries, LGBTQ, trans folks, all that sort of stuff, right? If you are not a straight white male that was born a male with a penis, you are considered diverse. You are a DEI. So the people who have actually mostly benefited from DEI hiring is white women. That is not my feeling. That is not a feeling at all. That is the pure facts. You can look at the Department of Labor and Statistics. Hey, EJ, how you doing? Good to see you. That is the pure facts. If you look at the Department of Labor and Statistics, you will find that to be the case. Okay. What's more is that white women have benefited mostly from DEI hiring. That is no shade to them. That's not to say like white women shouldn't have benefited. I'm just saying that this is what it is, right? The majority of people who've benefited from DEI initiatives overall, right? When it comes to hiring, when it comes to government assistance, when it comes to grants, all those sorts of things that are tailored and earmarked financially for DEI, the majority of them who have benefited are white women, right? And beyond that, then we go down the line. Black people are actually at the very, very, very bottom, right? So you got white women, you got Hispanics, and I'm not necessarily going to order here, but white women are at the top. So you got white women, you got Hispanics, you got East Indians, you got Asians, you got LGBTQ, you got people with disabilities, you got veterans, and then way at the bottom, you got Black people. Okay, so these are the facts that I want to talk about, because when we think of DEI, even as Black people, right, we feel that we are being negatively impacted, and that's valid, but it's also not valid in a certain sense, right? Because we think like, oh, we won't have the chance to get hired, we won't have the chance to get jobs. Well, we weren't the majority of people getting the jobs in the first place, right? So even though, like, yes, DEI is affecting Black people, this DEI fallout is affecting Black people more than others, we already were at the bottom of the totem pole with DEI to begin with. Y'all feeling me? Y'all understand what I'm saying? So it's like double impacting us. Like, we already weren't getting the jobs, and now the few jobs that we did have are on the chopping block. Right, exactly, Devin. That's exactly right. They said, we don't get jobs now, we get laid off the most. Exactly. That's exactly what's happening, right? Sharon says, I have been directly affected. My job will be eliminated as of June 30th, 2025. After this takes place, there will only be one female and one person of color in the office I currently work in. Wow, Sharon, how long have you been at your job? And is the job being eliminated because of this? When did you learn? I'm curious, when did you learn that your job was being eliminated? Was it like in the past like week or two, or was that already like something that was happening, supposed to happen before? Okay. LaShawn says federal employees who are vetted, accepted employees who are with the union have more protection. More protection. Hey, Monica. Yeah, Sharon, I'm really, really sorry to hear about your job. But yeah, how long have you been there? And when did you learn that your job was being eliminated? When did you learn your job was being eliminated? By the way, we are at 75 people live right now, y'all. So go ahead and click the like button if you haven't done so. If you're new to the channel, please click the subscribe button. But if you are here, we're 3/4 of the way here as far as people. We want 100 likes before this episode is over. So please, please, please click that like button for me, okay? I appreciate every single one of you who do that, all right? Now, again, while DEI was meant to include all marginalized groups, less than 6% of DEI hires actually went to Black employees. And like I said, the majority of DEI roles benefited white women, LGBTQ plus employees, and other non-Black minorities. So I feel like DEI or diversity in general has been marketed as race-focused. It's a race-focused initiative. And so, when we think about the political climate, we get very polarized on this because people think it's a race thing. They think it's affirmative action. And what I have to say to my non-Black audience members, right? Like, again, we love you. We appreciate you for being here and all that sort of stuff. What I need to say, and I think the Black folks here would know this, but those who are not Black may not know or even have to think about it because it's not something that affects you that much, right? What DEI is supposed to do in general, right? For everybody, whether you're a white woman, whether you're a Black American, whether you're LGBTQ or what have you, what it's supposed to do, it is not designed to give people who are unqualified jobs just because they fit a certain demographic. That is not what it's for. Just like affirmative action was not for that. That was not the point. The point was not to give unqualified people jobs just because their skin happens to be brown or happens to be not white, or they happen to be they happen to not be straight like that, or they happen to be disabled. That was not the point. The point was to give them opportunities because generally they would be qualified but still looked over because of their race or because of their disability or because of their sexual orientation, right? So again, it was not and never designed to give unqualified people opportunities that they didn't deserve. It was designed to give qualified people opportunities that they did deserve and prevent them from being overlooked because of their race, color, creed, sexual orientation, or what have you, right? And so again, this is a very polarizing topic because people tend to think that affirmative action, which doesn't exist anymore, or DEI, which is been rebranded as DEI, is an initiative to give unqualified people who don't deserve jobs designed to give them opportunities that they don't deserve. And that is not the case. As we have seen, and as we all know, Black women are the most educated demographic in the United States. These are, again, not my feelings. These are simply facts. You can look it up, right? By and large, Black women have the majority of higher education degrees. Okay. So when it comes to experience, Black women tend to be the most qualified as well. However, there are often times that I'm sure several of you here have had this experience, and let me know if you've ever experienced this in the comments, where you've been overlooked, or you haven't received a job, or you haven't received an interview, or you haven't received a promotion, or what have you, or a raise because of your race or your race and gender, right? It just is what it is. Right. So that's what DEI was for. And so what I feel like might be happening is that the administration that we have is not clear that DEI is affecting folks that don't necessarily look like them, right? Or it is affecting folks that look like them. And I think that the marketing of DEI and the branding of DEI has folks confused as to what it is and what it's supposed to do, right? So again, I like to work in facts. I don't really like to focus on like feelings because feelings are usually not facts. And when you really break it down to the brass tacks, which is the facts, we find again that less than 6% of Black people were even DEI hires to begin with. Okay. Sharon says that she had been at her job for 15 years and she just found out on January 9th that her job was being eliminated. I am so sorry, Sharon. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry. We're praying for you, hoping that something comes up that allows you to stay on your feet. Okay. So as you all know, I'm sure as you all have heard, major corporations are scaling back due to political pressure and shifting corporate priorities, right? Conservative leaders are arguing that DEI is discriminatory, leading to legal changes. And, again, that's not true. That's not rooted in fact. When you actually look at the Department of Labor statistics, right? It is not discriminatory. It is actually not benefiting the folks who people think is benefiting, just like the majority of government assistance is not the benefactors of that is actually not Black people. The majority of people on government assistance, when you look at percentages, is actually white people. And I feel like if you need government assistance, you need government assistance. Like you just need it, right? Like some people got to have it. And it is what it is. I'm not one of those people who are like, get rid of welfare for everybody. Like, no, people need it. And I feel like as a government, we should provide it to them. But the fact of the matter is that Black people aren't the majority of recipients. However, the marketing and the branding say otherwise, right? When you look on TV, you always see the welfare mom and she always happens to be Black with a baby on her hip, right? But that's not the case. The majority of percentage-wise people who are on welfare or receiving Section 8 or receiving any sort of governmental supplemental assistance is white people. It is what it is. And so, again, Trump is arguing that DEI is discriminatory and, it doesn't make sense because, again, the majority of people who are benefiting from DEI anyway are white women, right? But the problem is that DEI makes it an easy program to cut under the guise of cost savings. So if like, oh, we need to cut costs, we need to save our, we need to get rid of the government debt and whatever, we can cut DEI programs because of cost savings. So this is a very problematic situation that we're in. And I want to show you some of the things, the new executive orders and policies that are pressuring companies and other agencies to eliminate DEI hiring based on retention practices. So let me share my screen with you real quick. Okay, so this is a image of some of the things that Trump has ordered a spending freeze on. Now, as of about 10 hours ago, as of the time I'm making this video, a federal judge actually blocked this spending freeze. But that doesn't mean that these could not still be on the chopping block. So if you or anyone you know is a benefits from Medicaid, school lunch programs, Section 8, education grants from Title I education grants, any of these that are on this list, Head Start, EPA grants for clean water. I mean, that's in Flint, right? So any of these are potentially, and more are potentially on the chopping block because quote unquote, they're discriminatory. And again, that's just simply not the case. I want to give you a real life example. So this is a friend of mine, and I've blocked out his name. I've blocked out the job that he was applying for and all that sort of stuff. But as you can see, this letter just came to him on January 23rd. And it says here, President Trump issued a presidential memorandum entitled Hiring Freeze, requiring heads of executive departments and agencies, including federal such and such, to implement a freeze on the hiring of federal civilian employees. Please be advised, as of the result of this memorandum, it is rescinding the offer of employment that was extended to you. So this is real life. This is someone I actually know personally, right? And this is a government job. This is not, like a Target or a Walmart or nothing like that. This is a legitimate. Could you all see that screen? Let me know if you could see the screen. If you couldn't see it, I'll share it with you again. Because I don't know if you could see it or not, because my whole screen was blocked. I couldn't see you guys at all. Let me know if you could see it. If you could see it, say I could see it. If you couldn't see it, say I couldn't see it. But if you couldn't see it, I'll share it again. Okay. Okay. Jasmine says she saw. Okay, great. So, this is a government job, so a lot of times people think like, oh, it's a good thing to work for the government because, your job is pretty secure. And as you can see, this is not the case. Now, he's an entrepreneur, but he also always has a, like a 9-to-5, right? He always has like a job on the side that he keeps, and he was betting on this job. He had gotten hired, right? And was planning to start his job. But prior to him being able to start his first day, you guys share this live for me. Do me a favor and press the share button, okay? Before he could start his job on day one, they rescinded it due to this hiring freeze, right? And so it's like, this is affecting people's pockets. It's affecting not only if you receive any kind of assistance, but if you already have a job, as we saw with Sharon, your job may not even be available. And if you are trying to get hired, you may not even have a job, right? And so it's like, damn, like, what are we supposed to do, right? So I don't know how long this is going to last. Like I said, a federal judge blocked the freezing of a lot of these things. But as of today, that job that he applied for has still not been reoffered to him. So, and when he reached out, it was still said that it's not available. Gigi said couldn't see it with like a closer up snip. Other people said they could see it. So hopefully maybe you can if you're watching on your phone, it may look really small, Gigi. I don't know. But other people said that they could see it. Hey, Dr. Nicole, thank you for joining. Kalum says, somehow, same here, Sharetta, 22 years in IT and always overlooked. I've had white men tell me I am so lucky to have my job. Yeah. And if you've ever felt like, or ever been told, you're, or not even told directly, but just kind of like alluded to the fact that you have your job because you are whatever you are, whether you're black, whether you're a black woman, whether you're a black man, whether you are LGBTQ, disabled, veteran, what have you, any other non-black, non-white race, let me know, because I feel like that happens a lot. So these are all problems that, basically our money is on the line. And as you know, this is a money show. So we got to talk about the money. We got to talk about what we're going to do now. Like I said, when I first got on here, a lot of people, we tend as a society to focus on like exacerbating the issue, right? Like it's like the peanut gallery. Like one person is complaining, the next person's going to complain. It piles up, and everybody likes to feel like they are kind of like complaining together. Like we're all one and we're all mad about this. But the question is, that's fine to be mad, but what are we going to do? What are we going to do now? Right? Like complaining isn't going to solve the situation or even put us in a better scenario. I'm not saying you shouldn't complain or that your feelings aren't valid, but you do have to come up with a solution for yourself in the meantime, right? So let's talk about who's at risk. So we got corporate DEI roles. So anybody who's, a chief diversity officer or works in DEI. I used to date a guy who actually is a DEI director at one of the universities here. Date is a strong word. I say we went out a couple times, right? We went out like 4 or 5 times. Outside of that, that was it. But nevertheless, he's a DEI director. Like his job, I haven't talked to him in I don't know how long, but he may not even have a job anymore, because pretty much anything that has DEI in the title it's pretty much they already been let go. They already been let go. So DEI managers, DEI officers, DEI directors, all that sort of stuff, they're gone. In the tech sector, so Sharetta said that she was in IT. So DEI-based hiring initiatives are being slashed in the tech sector. Government contractors, as we saw with my friend who was looking for, to get this government job, federal contracts that include DEI requirements, those are being revised. Anybody who's in education, so that goes all the way from preschool teachers all the way up to college professors, universities, they're starting to dismantle DEI offices due to political and financial pressure. It's just a mess, right? And so this is so much bigger than just DEI hires because it has a ripple effect. So, in the workplace, there's a whole culture shift. Companies are starting to shift hiring and promotions back to, the old power structures, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Nepotism, right, is a thing. It's always been a thing. But even more so now, it's more allowed or going to be more allowed and frowned less upon. We've got, just simply like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. If you look like me, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Like all those sorts of things that, DEI and affirmative action was designed to circumvent. Those are basically back as something that is probably going to happen. Okay. Pipeline programs are going to start disappearing. So DEI based scholarships, mentorship programs, and recruitment initiatives, those are being cut because, if you have a DEI initiative, you are, as a company or an organization or a university, right? Like they have a certain percentage of DEI people or people who fit into that DEI box that they have to bring on or hire or recruit or what have you. Well, if this is, let's say, Harvard, for example, and they have a DEI initiative to bring, 5% of the incoming class has to be DEI, hypothetically, or even has to be Black, saying that's not even necessarily on the table anymore, right? So people who deserve to be there may not get into these roles or these opportunities because these initiatives are being rolled back. So it's totally unreal. Yeah, Tracy, I agree with you. Tracy says unreal. LaShawn says, how long does it take to screw around the country? 1 day. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, it ain't even been a month. It's been less than 10 days. And there's so many things that have been done in this period of time. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the next 3 years after this year. So like the next 4 years forward, it's going to be very interesting. Hey, Tyler, thank you. I appreciate your compliment. By the way, you guys, press the like button. We're at 90 people. Press like, press share, get the word out there. Help others by helping yourself. Just press the like button. It costs you nothing. It's absolutely free. Let me know in the comments how many likes we're at anyway. Because if everybody liked this video, we would have had 90 likes by now. So let me know in the comments, because I can't see it while I'm live, how many likes we have. Okay. And it's good to see you here, Tyler, as well. Okay. The next thing is that funding is being cut for Black-owned businesses. And I'm going to talk about Black-owned businesses at the end, because as a Black-owned business of a number of businesses, I have some real strong feelings about this. I really, really do. And y'all may want to stick around for that, because I could get on a whole soapbox about that. But venture capital firms and corporate grant programs are going to cut back, or are already cutting back, DEI-driven investments. It is already challenging for Black-owned businesses to receive funding as it is, right? As a Black-owned business, I can tell you that the majority of funding does not go to Black-owned business, and even less goes to Black female-owned businesses. What's interesting is that Black women are not only the most educated demographic in the United States, and again, that's not me being biased, that's just the facts. If you look at the statistics, that is what it is. We are also starting businesses at an exponentially quick rate in comparison to every other demographic. So Black women tend to start businesses, and we over index on business creation. However, Black women-owned businesses specifically have the least amount of funding. And so again, it's like these DEI initiatives were designed to kind of like stop that from happening. Like, you've got these super qualified people, right? And again, I'm taking myself out of it as a biased person. I'm just saying purely statistics. You got these super qualified people who are highly, highly educated, starting businesses at an exponential rate, and yet they get the least amount of funding. And so when you say, well, DEI is designed to help them and DEI is discriminatory, how, Sway? Help me understand. Because if they're more qualified than everybody else, and they're more educated than everybody else, and they're starting businesses at a greater rate, but they get the least amount of funding to grow that business, how can you say DEI is discriminatory when the little bit of funding that they do get comes from those DEI initiatives? Help me understand. Because the majority of people who get funding for their businesses, to grow their businesses and make them, do what they need to do, they are usually white men. And then after that, Asian and Indian, the Asian and Indian population. Women in general have a hard time getting funding, but even more so Black women. So again, help me understand how DEI was so beneficial to this demographic that you're trying to keep it from benefiting. And I feel like it's almost going to end up being one of those things where they cut their nose off to spite their face, because if DEI initiatives are being rolled back, that means the only people who are really safe is cis. When I say, I really hate when people say cis, cisgender. This is unnecessary. When they're straight white men that were born, with a penis. That's really the only people who are completely safe. And honestly, those are the only people who were safe to begin with. So it's like, what are you talking about? Why is this even a thing? Why are you focused so much on this? Why are you focused so much on this? I don't understand it. And so let's talk about how to protect yourself financially. Okay. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about the plan, right? We understand the problem. We know it's an issue. Yeah. Jackie said, make it make sense. Like, help me, like that Kevin Hart meme where he's like, help me understand. Right. Like, I don't understand this. So let's talk about how to protect yourself financially. Okay. Now, this is more crucial than ever in the next 4 years. I'm constantly preaching to you guys, and I hope you've been hearing me, and I hope you've been executing on what I've been teaching you. A lot of you have taken the Fix My Money challenge, and hopefully you have continued on in what you have learned. Several of you are in My Rich Friends, and hopefully you are continuing to implement the things that we are teaching in there. But again, I know a lot of people in the finance content creation space, they want to talk about, let's get to the stocks, and I talk about that stuff too. But you can't invest heavily if you don't have any money, right? Like, help me. I don't understand this. Why do all these content creators, they're always telling people invest money in the stock market? Great. With what money, bruh? Like, we got all this debt. We have no emergency savings. We don't have job security. Where is this money supposed to come from for us to be able to heavily invest like you're telling us to, right? So what you have to do, you guys, what you have to do, you have to eliminate your debt. You've got to push that down. You've got to in these next 4 years, because here's what's going to happen. Your job might be unavailable pretty soon. As we saw with Sharon, she's been at her job for 15 years and found out 2 or 3 weeks ago that her job is being eliminated, right? Nobody is safe. Government contractors ain't safe. Government workers ain't safe. I saw somebody earlier who said that as a government employee, I feel like I have a target on my back. Absolutely. Here's what's going to happen. If you lose your job and you don't have any income, guess what? You're still going to have your debt. And then what happens? Then you still got your credit card bills that you haven't paid off. You still have your any other car loan, all that sort of stuff. You still have all those bills because here's the thing, the DEI initiatives, this is crazy. The DEI initiatives being cut are going to affect your income, but they're not going to affect your bills, right? So nobody's coming to say, hey, Jackie, I understand that, you may not have the opportunities that you had a little bit ago. We're going to make sure that we pause your bills in the meantime until you get another job or until your income is back to where it's supposed to be. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that, right? You're still going to owe the same amount that you owe before. And so for those of you who do have income right now, you really need to prioritize debt payoff. You absolutely do. Because what will happen is that you won't have any income unexpectedly, right? Unexpectedly, you won't have any income and you still got these bills to pay. And then you're going to have to take on more debt to fund your life. But because you can't pay the bills, because you don't have any income, your credit score is going to go down. And then when you go to take out a loan or get a personal loan to fund your life, now you got to pay even more because your interest rate is going to be higher. And it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle, right? It's a horrible cycle. And no one's coming to save us, right? Jobs are on the line. If you own a business, you may not be able to get any funding to help it grow. Who knows, right? And so with so much uncertainty, I really need y'all to hear me because I don't feel like there's very many other people talking about this. I feel like they're just like, invest in the stock market. And I'm telling you, yes, you should invest in the stock market. Hopefully the next 4 years are great economically and hopefully your investments grow. But in the meantime, you also got to get rid of that debt. And once you have, hold on, I'm trying to see what he said. Tyler said, I got $1,850 every month worth of debt payments. I wish I was putting that into stocks. Exactly. So what's Tyler going to do if his job goes away? Tyler, I don't know what you do for a living, but let's say he has a job and the job goes away. He gets on the chopping block. He finds out he got a week, to still be at his job. And here's the thing. You don't have to be a DEI hire for your job to be on the chopping block. You could just be a regular old person at a job. And now you're considered a DEI hire because you look like a DEI hire. And now your job is on the chopping block, right? I'm pretty sure Sharon, when she got her job 15 years ago, they didn't hire her as a DEI employee. I'm pretty sure it didn't happen, but she doesn't have a job in a couple of weeks, And so for someone like Tyler who has $1,850, which is actually not an uncommon amount of debt to pay every month. That's not uncommon, right? And if you have that to pay, how does he pay that debt if he has no income? And Tyler, I appreciate you being transparent. Thank you so much. That's only how we learn is through transparency, right? So this is so urgent, y'all. I know that they've convinced us that debt is normal. They've convinced us that, everybody has debt and you buy a house, you take out a loan, you buy a car, you take out a loan, you want something, you won't go on vacation, you take out a loan. And they've even convinced us that now, if you want a t-shirt online, you can just afterpay it, or you can just Klarna it, and you can just pay it in 4. This has become normalized, right? But at the end of the day, cash is king. And if you don't have income like you thought before, and you are not prioritizing this debt payoff, and you end up in a situation where your job is not available or your income has dried up or severely declined, it's going to be a really, really, really bad day for you. Okay. So we don't want Tyler to have almost $2,000 a month in debt and then, lose his job. And then he's got to take on more debt in order to fund his life. He's got a family and all that sort of stuff, right? You got to pay the bill somehow. And then you can't pay the bills because you don't have any income. Now your credit's gone. Now you got a higher interest rate and you stay in the cycle. And it's just a way of creating more of an income gap between the have and the have-nots, between the races, between the genders, between the, straights and the gays. It's just a way to create more division, right? There is the middle class, the lower class, the middle class, upper middle class, and the upper class, right? But what they don't talk about is the billionaire class. The billionaire class is making sure they good, right? Trump and his friends. Notice everybody who's in his little circle, right? That we hear about: Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, obviously Trump himself, right? Jeff Bezos, like all billionaires, right? They scratching each other's back and they're doing what's in their best interest. Yep. Tyler says, I work at TSA. I like my job, but I want to get into cybersecurity. I just got a second job because I'm about to invest that second income into Aristotle Honey Drip's trading Discord. Good. I hope you're also prioritizing your debt payoff as well, Tyler. All right. Nefertiti is here. Hey, girl. Hey. She said, this is so true. The word tells us that we perish because we lack knowledge. Very, very true. Very, very true. Lakina says, because the U.S. as a whole from a government level is in hella debt, a vicious cycle of division. Yes, absolutely. Monica, this is really great information. I'll finish on replay. She got to get back to work later, rich friends. All right, good to see you here, Monica. We'll see you later. All right, so please prioritize your debt. Do not just hear me. I need you to hear me. I need you to execute. I need you to put in place a plan. If you took the Fix My Money Challenge, you already know what to do. If you didn't take the Fix My Money Challenge, the bottom line is prioritize your debt. Now, how you do that, that's a longer live stream. That's longer. But prioritize your debt. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to create an emergency fund. You got to have at least 3 months of living expenses. What happens if you lose your job and you have no living expenses and you have debts? What happens? Sharetta says currently all feds are freaking out about their jobs. No one is safe. Nobody's safe. Right? And so if you have no emergency fund, if you have no emergency fund and you have debt, how do you live? There ain't no government assistance either. Right? That's going away. So you can't even get on welfare if you needed to. How do you live? And guess what? If you're homeless, a lot of the homeless shelters that have government funding, they're being cut too. If your kids, if you're like, oh, I got a baby, I still need him or her to go to school. Well, guess what? Head Start is on the chopping block. Like, come on. Like, people are not going to be able to survive. People are not going to be able to survive. I really see, like, if this actually continues to go down, people losing jobs and they don't have a way for the government to assist them, and no one's helping these people, it's going to be a depression, but not from the state, not because of the stock market. It's going to be a depression just in like living. I'm pretty sure the stock market going to do bananas. It's probably going to do really, really good these next 4 years. Tends to do good when Republicans are in office. And if Trump is who he is, he probably going to make sure it does well. So if you invest in the stock market, you're probably going to do great, right? But again, how do you invest if you ain't got no money? Where's this money supposed to come from? Right? It's the chicken or the egg. Like the money got to come first to be able to invest, right? LaShawn says they froze her Wick. My heart goes out. Oh, they're not her Wick. They froze Wick. Her heart goes out to those moms in need. Yeah. Let me tell you, full transparency, right? I was married once and I got divorced. A lot of you guys know that. And when I got divorced, I had a nice, cushy job, nice job. And I worked at Ford. I was the global digital communications director. So big, fancy job, 6-figure plus income, had a company car, all that sort of stuff, right? And I got laid off. I got laid off. And let me tell you why I got laid off. Well, they didn't say this directly because I could have sued them if they said this, but I know it's what it was. I was married, right? So was married, got pregnant with my son, and I was on maternity leave. And my doctor had put me on FMLA before because I was having like complications. So I was actually off of work for, let's see, pregnancy is 9 weeks. I was probably off for like 6 of those 9 weeks, right? Because she put me on within like the first 3 weeks. I'm sorry, 9 months. Sorry, 9 months, not 9 weeks. I was probably on FMLA, so I wasn't working for the first for the last 6 months of my pregnancy, right? But because I worked at Ford, they were still paying me, right? So I was getting my full salary despite the fact that I wasn't working. So honestly, it was great, right? So I wasn't working. I was at home. I was supposed to be on bed rest, but whatever. And then after my baby was born, I was on maternity leave for another 12 weeks, right? So that's 3 months. So a total of like 9 months I was getting paid. Totally legal. I mean, I didn't force it. Doctor said I need to go on bed rest. And I was just, that's what it was. And so the way Ford worked at the time, and Ford is one of the companies who have eliminated their DEI programs, right? I was the youngest manager at my job. So at Ford, they have levels. They're called LL levels. So you have a LL6, a LL5, a LL4, all the way up to LL1. So an LL1 is basically the CEO, right? And LL2 is like right below him. LL3 would be like a director or a manager, right? I was an LL4. And I was the youngest LL4 ever at Ford at the time. I don't know about now, right? And so most people, when they come into the management levels, you're only an LL level if you're a manager. So generally you come in at an L6, but I started at an LL4, right? So they hired me in as an LL4. And when their policy was that if you are off for any length of time, they obviously, somebody else has to pretty much do your job while you're gone. And so if they can't find another job for you, if when you come back and your job is already being, done by somebody else and they want to keep that person, they will do their best to find you another job elsewhere within the company or at least within your department. And if they can't, then they'll give you a severance and you'll just be done, right? And so when I got hired into that job, it was already a problem. It was already a problem because I got hired. I was the youngest LL4, so people were jealous because it was people who were LL6s who had been there for years. And here comes this like young black girl, I was in my 20s, this young black girl who she thinks she is as an LL4, like what? And I constantly was having to like defend my thoughts, my ideas, because I was young, because I was a woman, because I was black. I'm basically at this company in these meetings, these big heavy meetings with these, suits and white dudes and old white dudes or whatever. And it was always stressful, always stressful. And it was another white woman who was there, and she was much more like, and I say this because I can't think of another word. She was much more like masculine. Like she was like a guy. Like she just like she would go after these dudes. But she was older than me. And I was like 25 at the time, 26. And I didn't have that in me at the time. And when I came back, they suddenly, surprisingly, didn't have a job for me, right? And so they severanced me out or whatever, and I left. But when I got let go, I hadn't been there. I think the severance package was like if you had been there like 4 years or more or 5 years or more, then you got a certain percentage. Up until then, it was like pretty much peanuts, right? But you had to be there for 5 years in order to get a decent, severance. I had been there for like 4 years and like 8 months, right? So it was like just enough where they didn't have to pay me, right? And so whatever little package they gave me basically just went to my lawyer fees because I was also going through a divorce, right? So they didn't know this, but I was going through a divorce at the same time I was losing my job. So I lost my job 30 days before my divorce was final. I was paying my legal fees, to, get out of this marriage or what have you, which were like super crazy expensive. So even though I had like this big, nice 6-figure job, I really didn't have any money because I'm paying all this money to lawyer fees and I didn't really get much of a severance, right? And so I ended up having to get on food stamps. And I still have the food stamp card downstairs, right? Like I don't use it obviously, but I remember I was on food stamps, and because I had to feed my baby, and I was not going to move back home to Ohio with my parents. Although they probably would, I'm sure they would have let me, but like that felt like failure to me. And so I was on food stamps, and I can only imagine being today, this situation happening where I would not be able to feed my child. If that situation happened to me today, like I'm going through this divorce, I got laid off from my job, don't have any money, and I don't have any way to buy groceries for my kid. I can't even imagine. Right. So luckily that situation is long ago. That situation was like well over 15 years ago at this point. But and so thank God, I've significantly come out of that, right? But I say all that, I say that story to illustrate like that's a real life situation that if that's probably going to happen to somebody today, right? They're going to be working, going to get laid off unexpectedly, not have any money, and how they feed their kid. And I wasn't planning to be on food stamps forever, which I wasn't. I was on there for like a couple months. But the point was until I started my business, right? And then I started like making money at the business. I got off food stamps and everything was fine. But if I didn't have that, I wasn't on Wick, I wasn't on anything else. I didn't have Medicaid or anything like that. I was just on food stamps. But Wick is on the chopping block. Jasmine said she was on Wick a few years ago. And for some reason there's this branding and marketing that's been done around these government programs, and it makes it seem like people are just like happy to live off of these programs, and therefore we have to cut them because they're taking advantage of the government. Like, no, like people actually need these things sometimes, right? And I can't even imagine being that person that I was at that age to now, if that was me today, what I would do. I really don't know. I have no clue what I would do. So my heart goes out to anybody who is like, you know, not without a home of their own, um, has to, rely on Head Start or WIC or food stamps or any of these things. Like, this is horrible. Lakina says, I don't understand how there are no laws against his BS. It should definitely be illegal. But when you can win the presidency of the US as a convicted felon, he was giving the green light to be an ass. Yeah. Yes. Angela says, priority is a must. I'm almost there. Need to live debt free. Thank you, Gwen, for your challenge. Came at the right time. You're welcome, Angela. Thank you again for contributing to my son's fundraiser. I appreciate you. I agree, Dr. Nicole. She said this is going to backfire because everyone will be impacted by this. 100%. 100%. I think it's him cutting off his nose to spite his face and doesn't realize, because, a lot of times we find that he likes to talk about things that get people riled up. Like, he's a really good marketer. He likes to get things that get people riled up and get people like, rah, 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 rah. Because his folks don't even realize that, like, hey, like, your wife is the one that's benefiting from this, bruh. Like, like your wife and her friends are the majority of people who are benefiting from these DEI initiatives. So what are you talking about? I agree. Lakina says he doesn't care about anyone but him and his rich friends. Mental health on a whole new level. Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad. So I need you to really get out of debt. Like, that has to be your priority. And I appreciate Angela for saying she's working on it. I appreciate for Tyler for sharing that he's working to get out of it as well. But you got to prioritize that. And then you need to save a minimum of 3 months. But honestly, with this administration, I don't think that 3 months is enough. I think you need at least 6 months. Because again, if you get let go and you have to search for another job, but guess what? There's no jobs because you're a DEI, because you have the visual of whatever a DEI hire would be, or it's clear that you're maybe LGBTQ or you're disabled or whatever, right? Then 3 months may not be enough to find a job. It may not be enough. So, these things take time. And in the past, we felt like we had time to kind of build it up, but you got to move with urgency here. You've got to move with urgency because, again, you don't know what's going to happen. And God forbid if you're married and both y'all lose your job, and you got little kids, it's going to be a real sad day. And again, I don't know why there's nobody talking about this part. There's nobody saying, hey, here's what you have to do. Here's what you have to prioritize. They're just like, buy black. No, yes, buy black. Please buy black, right? That's great. Go ahead and buy black. But you got to put your oxygen mask on first, right? You got to get rid of that debt. You do, right? You got to get your 3 to 6 months of living expenses. You got to do that, right? Like, buying black is not prioritizing buying black, which I'm not saying you shouldn't, because I have a black owned business and I hope that you buy from it, right? But buying black and prioritizing that as the main rhetoric is not going to shift what's happening. What's going to shift what's happening is that the wealth gap is already hella wide. It's going to get even wider with all that's happening. Buying black is not going to reduce that significantly. What's going to reduce that is people getting out of debt, having 6 months of living expenses, and prioritizing their money. That's what's going to get people in a situation where they don't have to rely on these programs. That's it. Buying black's not going to do that. And again, I don't want to be misconstrued. I'm not saying don't buy black. What I am saying is that no one is saying this part. They're just saying buy black and that's it. That's not going to change anything quickly. It's not. They've been saying buy black for 40 years. Sure, go ahead, buy black as much as you can. But you got to get out of debt. If you are here, say it with me, y'all. If you're here, you do not wake up to be normal. You wake up to be what? Put it in the comments. What do you wake up to be? Because I know I ain't waking up to be normal. Normal is debt. Normal is bogged down with owing other people. If you are someone who has debt right now, and that's the majority of people. So I'm not yelling at anybody, right? The majority of people have some kind of debt. I mean, I got a student loan, right? But I'm talking about consumer debt, like revolving debt, right? If you have revolving consumer debt, yes, Valika, yes, Karen, you wake up to be extraordinary. Extraordinary. We're not waking up to be normal. Normal people have debt. Normal people are they're like, oh, well, yeah, I got to get, whatever. I got to get in debt to do whatever, right? No, you don't. If you buy what you can afford with the money you have, you don't have to get in debt. If you buy what you can afford, and here's the thing, just because you can buy it doesn't mean you can afford it. Please understand, just because you can buy the thing does not mean that you can afford it. It does not. And that's a very crucial thing that people don't realize. Just because you can pay for it, that don't mean that's in your budget. That don't mean that you can afford it. That don't mean that's not going to make you house poor. That doesn't mean it's going to put you in a hole. Okay? Yes. All right. So the next thing you got to do is you got to diversify your income streams. Okay? You got to diversify your income streams at this point. This one job, that ain't enough. It ain't enough. And Lakeisha says 3 months is not enough. I agree. That's why I said, like, I really feel like you need to have at least 6 months. People are posting on LinkedIn and sharing their stories. Some have been out of work for a year. Some have gone through their 401k. Child, like I'm telling you, I feel like a depression is coming. Not because of the stock market not doing well, but the vast majority of people who are going to be hit are people who are not invested in the stock market or who are invested in a very small amount. Yeah. So the stock market's probably going to do great because Trump going to make sure of that. Right. But as far as like job security, like it might be 2008 all over again from like jobs and all that sort of stuff. Who knows? That's why you gotta make sure that you're good. You got to make sure that you're good in good times so that in bad times, you're not stressed. You're not stressed. Okay. You got to make sure you're not stressed. I saw a comment. Nefertiti says, yes, Gwen, teach. Girl, I'm doing my best. I hope they listen to me. Lakina says, be sure to quiet the noise and negativity. Focus on the facts and strategies. Roland Martin, Dr. Brian, and others have been warning us the entire time. Yes, child. Yes, you have. Yes. Yeah. I'm just going to keep going. But you are totally right. You're totally right. She says, that's why I created a FinLit program, financial literacy program for children here in ATL, because this is what our children need to be learning every day. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. Absolutely. All right. You got to diversify your income. Relying on your job is real risky right now. You've got to diversify your income. That means you need to get a side hustle. You've got to monetize a skill that you have. You may have to sell, I don't know, dinners. Who knows? You've got to do something that brings in a second source of income that you are solely in control of. Solely in control of. And I'm going to talk more about that when I talk about the Black-owned businesses in a minute. Like I told you, I'm going to say that for last because I can get on a whole soapbox about that. But hey, David, um, but you have to diversify your income in a way that you have at least one income stream that is solely controlled by you. It's not controlled. Nobody can fire you from it. No one can take it away. The only way it stops is if you decide to stop doing it. That's what you got to do. I'm not saying you have to go create some big, huge company. I'm not saying you got to hire a bunch of employees, but you've got to find other ways to bring more income into your household. And if you need help with that, you need to figure out how you can create a side hustle. Everybody has the opportunity to create a side hustle. Every single person. Every person on here has some sort of gift or talent or something that they're good at that they can monetize. I promise you. Everybody has something they can monetize. And I have a really, really great product called the Passive Income Package. It's on my website. You can get it. It will help you figure out what you can do for your passive income opportunity to bring more income into your household. Not only that, it has 300 passive income ideas along with it. That comes as a bonus for free. So that'll get you started and get your wheels turning. And in addition to that, it has a whole planner to take you from ideation, which is you coming up with the idea, to you actually executing it and actually making money. So from 0 to 60, it takes you in this planner. Plus, it gives you 300 ideas, and they're all sectioned out by industry. So if you're a tech person, there's a bunch of them in there for tech. If you're a product person, there's a whole bunch of them in there for that. If you like to cook, there's a whole bunch of them in there for that. So you can look at any of those, determine something that might work for you, and then start working through the planner to make sure that you are actually bringing in the income, not just talking about it. Because a whole lot of people will say, oh, I need to start a high side hustle, but don't know how to start, have no idea how to execute upon it. It will take you step by step through the whole thing. And so that's a really great resource for you as well. Gigi says living below her means equals much less stress. Yes, but most of us don't do that, Gigi. You smart. Most of us don't do that. Most of us live exactly where we are or greater. Actually, most people live higher than their income. And that's why the national debt is so high amongst individuals in general. All right. So you've got to diversify your income. So start thinking about something else that you can bring in where your money is not tied to someone else's decision. Not tied to someone else's decision. You don't want to have your livelihood disrupted because someone decided that you were a DEI hire today and that you no longer need your job. Okay. All right. And in addition to that, I would say you also need to upgrade your skill set if you can. But honestly, that's not even necessarily going to save you. But if you feel like it can, maybe you want to consider upgrading your skill set to make yourself recession proof in your industry. Okay. Or, on the chopping block proof in your industry. I want you to make sure you're not relying on corporate DEI programs for career stability, which it sounds like most of you are not, which is great. But beyond that, what money you have left over, I want you to make sure you're investing in income generating assets. Because again, this is going to be an administration that is going to have people's jobs eliminated and things like that. But it's also going to be an administration where the income generating assets are going to do exceptionally well. So this, again, is going to create even more of a wealth gap because guess what? If you don't have a job, how do you have money to invest, right? You can't, like, I think Lakina says some people are using their 401ks because they've been out of work, right? So if you don't have any income, you don't have any money to pay your bills, you don't have any money for a savings account, you don't have any money to invest in the stock market at all to benefit from the massive growth that we're going to see in the next 4 years. Maria says, hey, Maria, thank God I saved for more than 8 months. I retire next week and had to make sure I hope to be okay. It's not easy, but I had to sacrifice in 2024. I'm looking to diversify. Thanks, Gwen. You're welcome. Now, Maria, I know it feels real good. Even though you sacrificed in 2024, I know it feels real good in 2025. I know it does, girl. Because I know the moment that I paid off all my debt, I was like, woo, Like it just felt like a relief, right? Like your anxiety goes down. Anyone who's worried about their job being on the chopping block, guess what? Those people who have an emergency savings set up and those people who don't have any debt, they're concerned, but they're not stressed. They're not stressed because they know that, hey, if I do lose my job, I'm not going to be close to homeless because I got money set aside to ensure that I'm good, So um you gotta do that for yourself, right? Remember, nobody cares more about your money than you. I say that every single week. Nobody cares more about your money than you. And this government sure as hell don't give a damn about your money. They sure as hell don't give a damn, as we can see. Okay. Karen says, I'm really concerned about Social Security income. I retired early because I was afraid it would not be around when I turned 65 or 67. Girl, I don't think it's gonna be around at all by the time I retire. I'm not relying on it at all. I don't think it'll be around. And I think that you're right to be concerned about it. So I like the strategy that you have to retire early so you could get some of that. Okay, Devin said, I said to get a side gig a week or so ago in this chat, but was told people are too tired to work a side gig after working during the week. It might depend on the topic. Because depending on what we're talking about, there's context around that, right? So I don't know what I was talking about last week. I can't remember. I can barely remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, let alone what I was talking about last week. But depending on the topic, but today we're talking about something that's totally different, right? Today we got to shift gears, right? We everything is a working document, a working opportunity, right? So it's like when situations shift, we gotta adjust, right? And so if the again, I don't remember what I was talking about last week, and I don't know who said that. Maybe it was me, maybe it was somebody else. But if I said that, and I was talking about, dang, what was I talking about last week? Y'all gonna make me look it up. I don't have any idea what I was talking about. Let me see. What was I talking about last week? It's gonna take me too long to look it up right now. But I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it. I don't want to hold y'all, but I do want to address this because I think it's important to know that again, we have to shift strategies when climates change. And that's okay if we shift strategies when climates change. Oh, last week I was talking about stock splits. So maybe we were talking about maybe you're talking about the week before, which was a 2025 money strategy. Maybe that's what I was talking about at the time, Devin. I'm not really sure which week you're referring to. But again, if I was saying something along the lines of I don't know what I was saying. I really wish I had the context. Again, I don't know who said it. Maybe it was me, maybe it was somebody else. But if you can give me the context, then I can address it. Because there are times where I feel like, hey, you need to, I always say you got to get out of debt, period. You always got to get out of debt, regardless of what's going on, right? But right now is even more crucial, right? So if you were kind of like skating by, dilly-dallying around before with your debt, like now I'm like, hey, forget all that other noise. Like you got to prioritize this absolutely unequivocally, like move with gazelle intensity, get this done, right? Like we got to press a little bit more on this. If you were kind of taking your time to build your emergency fund, I'm like, hey, you need to really make sure that this is a priority after your debt's paid off or like in conjunction with your debt being paid off. Honestly, right now, I'm saying you got to do it at the same time because prior, I would say pay off your debt first, focus on that solely, and then build your emergency fund. But right now, you kind of got to do both. And if you haven't already done one, your money's going to have to get split where you can't take all that money and put it into debt because you got to create an emergency fund because again, you don't know when you're not going to have a job. So again, things have to be shifted around depending on the climate and the context. So there's that. LaShawn said, this is one reason why I have my kids investing in their Roth at 20 and 22, maxing it out each year. I love that, LaShawn. By the time they hit 60, they're going to be multimillionaires. Good for you. Good for you. My son has a Roth and he's 14. So yes, I agree. Lakina says, hell, I'm concerned for my kids ages 25 and 9, which is why I started their investment accounts during the pandemic. Look at y'all. Y'all so smart. I told y'all, I got a group of extraordinary people here. Y'all not normal. Because normal people ain't doing that. Normal people are not starting with investment accounts for their children. And by the way, I don't know if Dr. Nicole is still here, but she actually she sent me a video. And in that video, there was this app and it's called Bloom. And for those of you who have kids who are like under 18, like I love this app. And I'm so grateful for her for sending me this video, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even know this app existed. But it's an app called Bloom, and you can create a custodial investment account for your children under age 18. And it has financial literacy lessons, like 36 lessons, right? And each lesson is broken up into like 10 or 8 to 10 sub lessons, right? And so I have my son doing essentially a lesson every single week. And then he's also invested in this app. What's great is that there are very few non-retirement custodial brokerages that you can create for your kids. It's only a few of them that have it, but this one doesn't. And I really, really love it. It's been really great so far. So if you have a child under 18 or a grandchild under 18, look at the Bloom app to get them started, because again, we got to make sure that that they're good. The problem, I don't like acorns. Well, no, I'm sorry, Lakina. No, that's not true. Acorns is fine. I don't like Cash App. That's what it is. Okay. Let me get back to the comments. Yeah, Nefertiti said we have to remember that everything is in context and things do change for sure. Lakina says, hopefully this will be an awakening for people that thought it was a joke. I know. I think a lot of people thought a lot of stuff that he'd been doing is a joke. I think they thought when he ran the first time it was a joke, and then it wasn't. Nefertiti says, people are tired, but it is now urgent to do what we have to do. Do it tired. It will be worth it for your future. Yeah, just like Maria. Like she said, she sacrificed in 2024 to save up 8 months. I know I don't think he's on here right now, but Fred, who was in the last Fix My Money challenge, he's going to be saving $30,000 this year. He's basically sacrificing and saving $2,500 a month so he can have $30,000 at the end of the year. Like, you got to sacrifice a little to be good for the rest of your life. Like, yeah, sometimes we got to do that. All right, so let's get back to the topic. All right, let's talk about the stock market. Okay, how to use the stock market to build generational wealth during this time. Now, like I said, the stock market is more than likely going to do really, really well. More than likely. I have no true prediction because I'm not like God, nor am I a genie. But if it's any indication of how he tends to move and how markets tend to move, it's probably going to be a good next 4 years for the stock market. But again, if you don't have no money and you send all your money to the to debt, you paying somebody else, right? If you're paying somebody else, like Tyler said, he's paying almost $2,000 a month. He wishes he had invested that in the stock market. That's what he said, right? Those his words. So if he was able to take that $2,000 and instead give it to somebody else's debt payments and put that into the stock market, that's $24,000 in 1 year that he would be earning. I mean, that he would be investing. And if he was able to get like a 15% return on that and just keep it in there, that'd be amazing, right? So you really, really, really have to, one, pay off your debt, and at this time, pay off your debt and prioritize saving for your emergency fund at the same time. Because again, we don't know when you won't have a job. Okay. Devin said maybe it was 2 weeks ago. It might have been. It's probably when I was doing the 2025 money strategy, but that was before this happened, right? That this wasn't happening. The 2025 money strategy that we talked about 2 weeks ago was an overarching idea of what you need to do. And it was assuming that people don't have time to get another job. Now, I didn't say that they need to get another job here. What I said is that they need to come up with a second income, and that's create a side hustle, right? So I don't suggest that you necessarily go and get another job, because you might be on a chopping block for that other job, right? So when you said I said a week ago to get a side gig, to me, that sounds like get a side job, right? And so, yeah, that's hard. Like if you already struggling to like, not really struggling, but if you're already like nervous that you might not have a job and you go get another job, it's like, but that's also money that you don't control. If you get a side gig from somebody else, that's still money you don't control. What I said today was make sure that you create a side hustle for yourself that you're solely in control of. That's totally different, right? So if I go get a job and I get laid off from job number 1 and I get laid off from job number 2, somebody else controlled my money. But the point is to keep your job right now and then create another side hustle that allows you to be in control of that income, solely in control of that income. Nobody can take it away from you. Nobody can fire you. Nobody can decide that you're, not worthy because you're a DEI hire, basically. Okay. Sandra said it might be the next 8 years instead of 4. I know. I heard that they were trying to figure out how he could be in office for an extra 4 years after this. So again, you have to take care of yourself. Put your oxygen mask on first all the time, okay? When you are paying debt to somebody else, just think of it as you putting their oxygen mask on first, because that's what exactly is happening. You're paying to put their oxygen mask on first. You're paying to take care of them instead of taking care of you. Okay? Any suggestions for parents that may get money back from taxes but have debt? Put it towards your debt. Put it towards your debt. Yep. Don't go buy a TV. Don't go on vacation. Put it towards your debt. That's what I did. I paid off $147,000 in 8 months. And it wasn't because I didn't have a job at the time. I didn't have a job at all. I was still working for myself, but I didn't have like a big windfall of money. Like that's not what happened. Every single dollar I had that didn't go toward my mortgage, that didn't go toward my like my groceries for my son, like the bare necessities went toward that debt. And that's how I paid off $147,000. And I created other income opportunities that allowed me to be able to do that. Right. And so that's what I would do. Seeking, asking, I would definitely use that money to pay down my debt for sure. And remember, because that's your money anyway. If you get money back on taxes, that's not money they gave you. That's money that you loaned the government for free for a year. Right. So it's your money anyway. So had you had that money, you might have actually bought the thing that you bought in cash instead of buying it on debt. So use it to pay, basically use that as a reimbursement to pay off whatever you incurred in debt. Okay. All right. Yes, Dr. Nicole, the genius, says we have to have multiple streams of income and learn ways to stop exchanging hours for dollars. Yes, because it's only 24 hours in a day and we need to sleep. Sleep deprivation will leave you depleted and having hormonal imbalances. And we can't have that. We can't have that. So she's totally right. Yeah, again, if you're going to work for somebody else, now you're trading your time and now you're there for another 6 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, however long it is. Whereas instead if you create an income opportunity that you run, let's say at home, right? Then and honestly, the best way for you to make money is by selling knowledge. It's not even by selling products. It's by selling your knowledge, whatever you are good at. Like Dr. Nicole, she's a doctor, right? Like she has a lot of knowledge. You can just sell her knowledge. But even if you're not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. I sell my knowledge, right? Y'all here, right? Who else? Like Gigi, Seeking, Asking, Lakina, all y'all are well versed on something. Listen, I was just on TikTok. Have y'all heard of this thing called Hillman Talk? So it's basically like a pseudo university on TikTok for like Black people, basically. And it's just a bunch of people who are creating like classes. Like they have a curriculum, they have a syllabus, and anybody can create it. Anybody, right? I could go on there and be like, hey, I'm Professor Gwen Jameer, and I'm going to teach you. My class course is called Get Into the Bag 101. Here's how you build wealth in 2025 or whatever, right? That could be the name of my course. And you create a syllabus and you just go in there and you teach, every week or day or however often you want to do it, right? And so there's somebody on there. I was just on there today. Guess what class they have? She created a Spades 101 class. And not only did she create a Spades 101 class, and it's a bunch of people who don't know how to play spades. And they're on there. And she's teaching them how to play spades. Right? And she has monetized it. So TikTok is free, but she also has an ebook. So if you click on her little link, it takes you to her website. She got an ebook and a video course teaching you how to play spades. Please don't tell me that you don't have no knowledge, because this woman is teaching people how to play spades and she's charging for it. Ain't no reason why the rest of y'all can't come up with something. I don't remember what it's called, Lakina. Just look up Hillman Talk. I'll put the hashtag in the comments. It's called Hillman Talk. Now I can't remember what the her particular class is called, but they have all kind of stuff. They got like fashion, like the fashion in the Black diaspora as a course, like whatever. Like these are not necessarily professors. These are people who are just everyday people who happen to be experts in whatever they do. And they're not necessarily like New York Times bestselling authors. They're just people. You created a class on spades. Yeah, like you're not only is selling your knowledge like the best and cheapest form of creating income for yourself, but there's no cap on it. There's no cap on it. There's no cost. Like you're not creating a product where you have a cost associated with product. It's literally just in your brain. So it's like if you can find ways to monetize that, y'all just gotta get creative and think about what you're good at. And don't be shy about thinking like, oh, I'm really good at cooking sweet potato pies. Who gonna teach you? Who gonna want to learn how to do that? Do you know how many people don't know how to do that well? Do you know how many people don't know how to play spades? And they get clowned at their family functions all the time. And now they won't because they have her, right? So like you can literally teach anything. And yes, Dr. Nicole is right. She said there's unlimited ways to make money. There are people who get paid to cuddle because people are touch deprived. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm not even gonna lie, I thought about the cuddling thing, but I was like, that's weird. Like, I don't want to be touched by some stranger. Like, I thought about that years ago, but but some people they're okay with it. They get paid a lot of money. They get paid a lot of money. And think about this too. Think about there's men who pay to have women talk to them aggressively and like cuss them out and be mean to them. I'm not saying you should go do that. My point, or if you want to, like, do your thing. I'm not saying that. But my point is that, like, you can monetize anything. Somebody is paying somebody to hug them. Somebody is paying somebody to beat them with a whip and tell them to grovel like a dog. Like, come on. Somebody is paying somebody to teach them how to play spades on the internet. I'm sure every single one of y'all got some kind of knowledge that's possibly better than any of those. So there's no reason why you can't create a side hustle for yourself. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the stock market real quick. So if you are invested in the stock market or looking to invest, what I want you to do is I want you to think about index funds and ETFs. These are going to grow your wealth passively and grow it wisely. You don't have to monitor it. You don't have to be watching it and all that kind of stuff. The stock market is going to do well. Mark my words, it's going to do well. And while everybody else is losing jobs, because there's the billionaire class, right? They gonna make sure that they straight. And the best way they can, because they know that the stock market is the number one greatest wealth building opportunity that we have in the United States. It's not it's not being the CEO of some company. It's not even inheritances, because a lot of people have inheritances and they lose them real fast, right? The greatest wealth building opportunity that we have in the world, honestly, but definitely in the United States, is the stock market. It's the stock market. Okay. So I need you to look at this. Okay. ETFs are going to help you. They're a basket of stocks with a bunch of different companies in it at one time. And it's instantly diversified. So it allows you to grow your wealth passively. And during these next 4 years, while things are growing in the stock market, put your money in there and just let it sit. Put it in an ETF, put it in a couple ETFs, just let it sit. Don't touch it. Don't get freaked out whenever the stock market goes down. Listen, just 2 days ago, I was watching it. I made on one company, I made like $200 some in one day, and the next day I lost $100 on it. And next day it was up $300. Like, it does this every day. Like, it just is what it is, right? So like, don't freak out every single time that you see it move up and down. Just leave it there. Leave it there. Sight unseen. Yes, yes, Gigi, or yes, it's TikTok. So Hillman, like Hillman College, like on a different world. So Hillman Talk. Yes, thank you, Lakina. Hillman Talk. And that's the hashtag. So just search hashtag Hillman Talk and you'll see a ton of different classes on there. Okay. Also, dividend paying stocks are great. The thing with dividend paying stocks, though, is that I know a lot of people say you can use dividends for passive income, and you can, but the best way to utilize dividend income is by reinvesting it. So that doesn't really help you in terms of having extra income coming into your home, but it does help you in terms of being able to reinvest in companies and ETFs without having to add any more of your own money. So, so there's that. REITs, like Lakina said, REITs, I've talked about REITs extensively as well. So REITs are real estate investment trusts. These are essentially stocks that are on the stock market that allow you to invest in real estate without having to actually own any homes. You don't have to put down any down payments. You don't have to deal with roaches or tenants or termites or toilets or none of that kind of stuff. You basically put your money in, they do all the work, and you reap all the benefits. That's how it works. Okay. C King asking says, I heard that GameStop is paying $25,000 for a phone with TikTok. I don't know how true that is. You know, I heard that people were on eBay selling TikTok ready phones for $10,000. But that was before like TikTok, it was banned for like a day and then it came back. I don't know if you can download TikTok still. I already have it. So I can't see, and everybody I know has it. So like I can't test it to see if you can actually download TikTok. I heard that you weren't going to be able to download it, and that's why people were buying it. But that's crazy if people are paying $25,000 for a phone. Like I legitimately was telling my friend, like, I'm about to sell my phone on eBay. And he was like, why? I was like, because they buying it for $10,000. Like my phone only costs like $800. I'll just buy another one. He was like, don't do that. And I'm like, why? What's wrong with you? Like, if someone wants to buy my phone for $10,000, I'm gonna sell it to him. Like, why not? But I haven't put it up there. So but anyway. C King asking says it's not in the app stores. Oh, okay. Well, maybe they are. I don't know if GameStop is paying $25,000. I think individuals, because GameStop, they like, those stores like GameStop, they like to pay you the least amount that they possibly can when you turn stuff in. Like I remember turning video games when I was younger, and they'd be like, yeah, best I can do is like $1.50. And I'm like, $1.50? What? I paid $40 for this game. But I don't think GameStop is doing $25,000, but I definitely know people have them up for sale for $10,000, between $3,000 and $10,000 on eBay. Now I don't know if anybody bought it. I just know it's available. If you look it up, you'll see it on eBay right now, like TikTok phones for $5,000 or whatever. So I don't know. If any of y'all can sell y'all phones and you have TikTok, you might want to consider trying to sell it on eBay. I don't know. But anyway, what I don't want you to do is I don't want you, and I said this before, do not let your political feelings or how you feel about any of this affect your money. You got to separate the two. It got to be like church and state. Like they got to be separate, right? You can feel how you feel, but you can't let it affect your pockets. Okay. Do not say, because I heard somebody say this once. She emailed me and she was like, I'm not worried what Trump is doing. I'm not even thinking about him. I'm not investing in nothing that he's while he's in office. I'm gonna keep my money to myself. And I'm like, that's working. That's hustling backwards, sis. Like, that's not a smart move. You letting your feelings affect your pockets. And that's really dumb. Like, don't do that. Okay. So whatever's going on, do not let it affect your money. Consider ETFs, consider REITs. Like I said, those are real estate investment trusts, and consider index funds. So these are 3 relatively safe investments where you don't have to worry about losing your money, and your money will grow during these next 4 years. Now, again, if we look at the stock market history, every single one of these things, by and large, what I'm talking about has always grown, has never gone down significantly. Okay. So put your money somewhere that's going to grow, take advantage of it. Do not let these 4 years have you out here looking silly by the end of it. Okay. You gotta, like, it's kind of like, don't let your enemies mess up your money. That would be really silly. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about retail. Okay. Let's talk about retail, because I know this is what everybody's talking about. So we got Target, we got Walmart, we got Amazon, Ford, Facebook, Instagram. They're, as you know, they promoted DEI heavily in like 2020, and now they're like trying to dismantle these efforts. Again, like I said earlier, a lot of this was all for show. A lot of it was all for optics, right? And by the way, if you have not yet liked this video, please click the like button. Since I've been on, there have been well over 100 people at any given time. So that means that we should be at least at 100 likes. If we're not at 100 likes, I need you to press the like button for me. It costs you nothing. It's absolutely free. Just hit the like button. and do me that favor, okay? I really would appreciate if you guys did that for me. We're at 78 likes. If we can get 22 more, we'll be at 100. So please, please, please press the like button. It's probably 22 of y'all on here who haven't pressed it. So go ahead and press it, okay? Dr. Nicole agreed. Yeah, you can't download it. It's no longer in the app store. Well, y'all, I may not even have a phone for a couple of days because I'm about to go see if I can sell my phone on eBay. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm dead serious. I'm gonna try to sell it and see if somebody buy it. Like, it's free to put it up there. Like, why not? I got TikTok. I don't even use TikTok. I don't even use it that much. So, and plus my son has it on his phone. So if I really need to get on TikTok, I just log onto my account from his, like, whatever. Yeah, J Nail, sell your phone, girl. Why not? Like, we should all go in there and try to sell our phones. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Gigi said $3,000 gain, workplace stock purchase. Didn't look at it for the whole year. Look at you. ETFs. I'm moving the gain for now because my employer is deep in Medicaid. Girl, so she got a $3,000 upside on a stock purchase that she didn't touch for a year. That's amazing. Like, to earn $3,000 in 1 year and you didn't do anything? That's awesome. That's incredibly awesome. Congratulations to you. Oh, Gigi said, please sell your phone to me. You go, how much you got? How much we talking? You got 10 bands? Because, like, I can sell it to you today. If you got 2, I'll give it to you. Just let me know. Just slide in my DMs and let me know how much you trying to take for this phone. Okay. All right. So again, Target, Walmart, Amazon, Ford, Facebook. There's other companies as well, right, that are backpedaling on DEI, but these are the ones that people have been talking about, specifically Target, which I don't know why Target is the main one that people are talking about, but Target, I think, because a lot of us love Target. But yeah. So these things, these companies and stores, they heavily profited from DEI optics, but clearly they were never really committed to the change, because as soon as Trump was like, oh, you don't have to do this anymore, they were like, oh, we're done. Right. And again, even with, we talked about government employees, we talked about education, people who are education, all sorts of things. Like, Black and minority employees in these organizations are super vulnerable to job losses. So everything I said before is very valid. Please make sure that you're paying off your debt. Please make sure that you are prioritizing your emergency savings fund. Y'all talking about feet pics. Y'all, Sandra said they have people who pay to show off their beautiful feet. I've seen some people with not so beautiful feet that be paying for. Nicole said, yes, so many men have foot fetishes and they pay lots for it. Listen. Okay. Anyway, so I'm gonna tell y'all what my disappointment is. Okay. I'm so disappointed in a lot of the Black owned brands and their responses. Janelle said, Janelle's trying to kind of get on that feet money. She said, where are they paying for feet at? I think OnlyFans, Janelle. I think they pay on OnlyFans. Lakina says she forgot about an investment account she started during, I guess, the pandemic. And then when you remember and checked it, you had $15K. Girl, please go invest that money. Yes. I love it. So I'm super disappointed in a lot of these Black owned brands and their responses, because they didn't put their oxygen mask on first. And so they are pretty much the slaves to these stores. So we've got brands, like some brands that with some people that you all know and love, and who you've probably seen. I ain't gonna say no names, but I'm pretty sure you've seen them begging consumers to continue to shop at big box retailers despite these DEI rollbacks. And then some of them are even telling y'all to only buy their product at these stores, but then shop elsewhere for everything else. Like, that's not even realistic. I'm not going to Target to buy your thing and then going somewhere else to buy all the other stuff I need. Like, nobody's going to do that. That's not sustainable. That doesn't even make sense. Like, if I'm at Target to buy whatever you sell, and I need Tide laundry detergent, and I need a toothbrush, and I need some workout leggings, and I need a Fitbit, I'm not about to go somewhere else and buy all that stuff when I'm already at Target. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Nisette says she has phones to sell. Y'all, Nisette has phones plural to sell. So Janelle said that she about to set up her account this weekend for feed. I love it. Y'all get to y'all money. Get y'all money, pay off y'all debt, get your emergency savings fund together, and then maybe you get out the game after that. I don't know. But it's just unrealistic. Like, are you guys going to do that? Are you going to realistically shop for? I would rather just not shop at the store at all, right? Like, are you realistically going to shop at one place just for one thing and then go somewhere else for all your other stuff? And if so, how long are you going to do that? That's going to last 1, 2, maybe 3 trips. It's just not realistic to tell people to do that. And I'm so disappointed that this is what they're saying. I just think it's super irresponsible because people can't afford to navigate a complicated, like, ethical shopping plan. I'd rather you just say, don't shop at the store at all. But instead of pushing dependency on these stores, I really feel like these Black brands should be pushing direct to consumer. Like, they should be sending people to their website. I mean, Naturalicious is in several stores, and I promise you, if any one of them stores drop Naturalicious today, we'd be just fine. We'd be just fine. And I like being in the stores. And luckily, none of the stores that I'm in, well, you got Whole Foods, which is tied to Amazon. But Ulta is doubling down on their DEI initiatives. Sally Beauty hasn't said anything. Whole Foods, probably when they were independent, wouldn't have. But now that they're tied to Amazon, they probably have to, right? Like, if anyone dropped of us, we just fine. And you know why? It's because I put on my oxygen mask first. The vast majority of our sales comes from our website. I'm not at the mercy, or we are not at the mercy of these stores. And therefore, it prevents me from having to make unethical decisions that don't align with my values. If I decide, hey, we down with the boycott, we're boycotting. I'm not like, oh man, but Target has like 90% of my income, so I can't afford to boycott because I'm gonna have to go into bankruptcy because Target has all my money. Like, why would you do that? I'm just so disappointed that they're basically telling people to not boycott the store except when it comes to my shit. Like, really? Boycott Target except if you buying my towels or whatever. Boycott Walmart unless if you buying my nail polish or my clothes that I sell in there or my makeup or whatever it is. Like, come on now. Come on. I just feel super disappointed by this. Because here's a harsh reality. When it comes to retailers, and a lot of you on here may not know this, but when you have your products in a retail store, they take 50% of your revenue off top immediately, right? Then they charge you for shelf space. They charge you for every promotion. So those of you who see like 50% off, 20% off, the stores are not taking that L. The brand is taking that L. So what that means is that 20% off that you saved, the brand has to pay the store back for that. That 50% off that you got, that buy one, get one free or whatever, the brand, the company has to pay the store back. So let's say if you go to Ulta and Ulta is having a 20% off, a 25% off sale, you're going to get 25% off in the store, but Naturalicious has to pay Ulta 25% back. We have to pay them that 25% back, right? So that's what these stores do. So they take your 50% off. So if you sell your product for $30, they're going to buy it from you for $15, right? So they're taking 50% off top. They charge you for shelf space. If you don't want to be at the bottom where nobody can find you, you want decent shelf space, you got to pay for that. Where you see companies on a shelf is very intentional. They have paid for that. They've paid to be on that specific shelf. If you notice a certain product that you like is always on a specific shelf at a store, in every store, they're always at eye level or what have you, they pay for that, right? They pay for returns. So if you don't like something and you return it, guess what? The brand got to reimburse the store for that. If an employee is at the store and an employee knocks over a bottle of whatever you sell and it gets damaged and the store can no longer sell it, the brand has to pay the store back. Even though it's the store's fault, the brand still got to pay them back, right? Like, this is how it works. Discounts, like I said, they pay for all of that. The store is literally just a shell and the brands have to basically pay to be in the stores. So to me, it's like retail is like, it's almost like if all your money is tied up in this store and you're reliant upon them, you might be a Black owned brand, but you're still not Black controlled. You're just not. Like you're literally working for the store. You're Black owned, but you're white controlled. So what's the point of you promoting that you're Black owned if when it comes to the bottom line, your money is they control your money. You're just the face at that point. And this again is something that people don't talk about. They don't talk about this. Oh, yes, we're a Black owned brand. Great. Who controls your money though? Because if you're at a point with your business that you have to go against the culture and say, hey, go ahead and shop at the store. Don't shop at this store. Just shop with me. Shop at my stuff at the store and then buy all your other stuff somewhere else. You are a slave to the store. So tell me how this makes sense. If your main revenue stream is through a retailer, they control your business. Because I've seen some of them say like, oh, people want us to go out of business for the culture. People want us to file bankruptcy for the culture. No, we don't. No, they don't want you to do that. But how you going to be split on don't be split, right? Like either people are not buying from the stores or they are, because no one's going to just buy your shit at the store and then go somewhere else and buy everything. It's not going to work. So either we don't buy there at all and because we vote with our dollars. The Black dollar is so valuable. And if we stop shopping at all these different places that don't give a rat's behind about us, it would be significant. I saw a report that said if Black people stop shopping at Target for I think it was 1 week, they would lose $29 million in a week. Just Black people. They lose $29 million in a week. Right? That is how you bring about change, right? Like, no, we're not going to be one of your biggest consumer groups, but yet you already your DEI hires already account for less than 6%. And those few 6% that account for the jobs that you have at a corporate level at your store, they don't even have a chance anymore. Like, no, we're not going to stand for it. But what do? We get online, we complain, we talk about it. Like, talking is cheap. Talk is cheap. Money speaks volumes. So while you're you're these Black owned brands, and again, I'm sure you've seen some of your favorite Black owned brands, some well-known personalities. Or again, I'm not saying no names, but I'm just people who I have like really held in high regard and high esteem. I'm so disappointed to see that they're like, well, if you don't buy at the stores, we're going to go out of business. Why didn't you ensure that what you control is your number one revenue source in the beginning? Why are you now at the mercy of these stores who can delist you at any time? So for those who don't know, delisting means that they basically decide you're not selling well, and so they pull you off the shelf. Or they can just not like you and pull you off the shelf. And then what they also do is that if they don't like you and they have inventory of yours in their warehouses, they will want you to pay them. They will want you to buy it back. They want you to buy it back. Your website. So anybody who's on here, anybody who's watching on replay, your website must be the number one revenue driver. When the pandemic happened, Naturalicious was not concerned about retail stores because our number one business is on our own website, on the thing that we control. So earlier I was telling you, for those of you who are employees, I was saying, make sure you have a revenue stream that you're bringing in that you control, that no one can take away from you. Ulta today could say, Gwen, we don't like Naturalicious anymore. Y'all got to go. So could Sally Beauty, so could Whole Foods. But I promise you, if any one of them did that, it wouldn't make me no bit of difference. Not a single one. Not a single one. And I think it's cool that people shop there, but it makes me no difference because the majority of our sales are on our website. So I know we can continue to serve our customers. We can continue to pay our employees. We can continue to make sure everybody's good because I made sure that our oxygen mask was put on first. And I'm not the smartest person in the world. I mean, I ain't no dummy, but I'm not the smartest person in the world. So I'm wondering why these people who I know are equally just as smart, if not even more brilliant than me, did not do the same for their own companies. And why are you at risk of going bankrupt? Because if people don't buy at a store that's already taking 50% of your money, that's already charging you for every little thing, they nickel and dime you for everything. Like, make it make sense. I don't understand. Um, Janelle says, I seen one yesterday say only shop their products at Target because some people don't have space or storage for product seasonings. What? They don't Some people don't have space or storage for product seasonings. What does that mean? Like they don't have storage in their house? Or you mean shop their product? I'm so confused. Shop their products at Target because they don't have space for product seasonings. I don't know what that means. Tell me what that means, Jay. Now I'm so confused. Oh, GD said likes are at 96. Oh, y'all, keep them up, keep them up, keep them up. We only got 4 more to go to 100. 4 more to go to 100. Nassez said they should take their inventory out and band together with other minorities out of spot for lease in a few locations throughout Metro Detroit. That'd be great if they were in Detroit, right? But at minimum, just sell on your website. And here's the thing. People are asking right now. People are like, hey, I want to buy from you directly. I want to support you solely. How can I buy from your website? And you know what they're doing? They're saying, no, don't buy from my website. Buy from Target. Buy from buy from Walmart. Buy from Massa. Like, what? This is a prime opportunity, honestly, for you to get your money up as a Black brand owner because people are looking to buy from you from your website. They don't want you to split your money anymore. And I feel that, a lot of times people focus on people are so worried about. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about, Janelle, but I wasn't clear. You said storage at their house. Oh, I see what you mean. I follow. I'll come back to that in just a minute. I feel like people focus so much on popularity and not profitability. Like, it's like, do you want to be popular or you want to be profitable? Do you want to just say, oh, I'm in Target because it sounds good? Or do you want to actually get to your bag? Like, help me understand this. Because yes, I love that. And it does validate the brand, right? Like if you find out that some brand is sold at Walmart or Target or wherever, it validates the brand a little bit more. It helps people understand that, oh, this isn't just some like rinky dink thing I do in my house. This is like legitimate. But you should be using retail for discovery. People should be perusing the shelves. They see you like, oh my gosh, what is this? And you should be trying to drive them back to your website every single time. Let me tell you what Sally Beauty did. During the pandemic, people were not buying in stores because stores were closed. They emailed me and said, hey, we want you to direct all your customer traffic over to our website so they can buy on our website. What? I told them absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I have to make sure that I can keep my staff. I got to make sure that my employee is good. I got to make sure I can feed my son. I got to make sure I pay for this building that we're in. Why would I send all of my traffic over to you so you can give me 50% plus charge me a bunch of fees? I think not. And I told them, like, no, I'm not doing that. But I promise you that the brands who were beholden to them were like, okay, we're going to send all our traffic to you. No. If you don't like it, take me off your shelves. Like, I'm not concerned about it because I'm going to make sure that we straight. Like a mother bear, you're going to make sure that your cubs are good. And I just I was like, the audacity of you to ask me in this incredibly difficult climate where there's so much uncertainty during the pandemic, you want me to make sure you're okay, but not make sure I'm okay? Make sure that my company okay? Make sure that my customers are okay? No, absolutely not. You don't control me. And so again, for those of you who are employees, you should be ensuring that you have a revenue stream that no one can take away. Okay? If you are a company owner, you should be making sure that your main revenue stream is not something that anyone can take away. The only way someone could take anything from me is if I closed it. Or if Shopify, which my website is on, decided that they weren't going to allow me to continue to sell on their platform for some reason, which is like very likely not ever going to happen, right? Because that's how they make their money through me selling on their website, right? So it doesn't make sense for them not to allow that. So, I'm just like, so Janelle said, okay, so the person she's talking about, and I know exactly who she's talking about, said only shop her products at Target because she doesn't have the space for product seasoning at her house. like to basically to sell it. So if she were selling her seasonings, she would have to store them at her house, which I don't know why that would be the case, because I'm pretty sure she has a more, I'm just assuming she probably has more money than me. And I have a warehouse. So I'm pretty sure she could just get a warehouse. I don't have anything in my house. I have a warehouse. And then people ship from the warehouse. So I'm not sure why she couldn't do the same thing. But either way, she doesn't have the space to have. That doesn't make sense. So go ahead and shop my stuff. Shop my stuff at Target, because all of my sales are at Target basically. And I need you to ensure that my sales continue to sell at Target. So what happens is, if everybody stopped buying at Target, that means that those brands that are in Target, their sales would drop, right? Because obviously nobody's going to buy them. The majority of their consumers are Black. Their Black consumers will no longer be shopping at Target. Therefore, their sales would drop. And they are at the stores based upon performance. So that's how stores work. Like, the more your products perform, meaning the more money you make them, the more they will, they want you to stay. But the minute that your product's not selling, oh, now you're getting phone calls from the buyer. You're getting phone calls from somebody else in the department. We need to have a conversation. We need to find out what you can do. And then they want you to spend money on marketing. So you know how when you get like a flyer in the mail, and it's like 20%, or not even 20%, they're just like talking about products they have, like a mailer. You get a mailer. Guess who paid for that? That brand paid for placement in that flyer. When you get a product, when you get an email from like any store, Ulta, Whole Foods, Walmart, wherever, you get an email, right? And they're like, hey, we got such and such that just came to the store. We got, they just talking about all these different products. Those brands paid to be in that email. I'm telling you, they charge you for everything. Ain't nothing free. So every time you get an email and your favorite store is promoting whatever, even if it's a grocery store, right? One of my exes used to be in marketing for a grocery store, and all those brands paid for placement in their emails that they would send out to their customers, right? So buy my stuff at this store, because I don't have storage at my house, which just get a warehouse like anybody else would. And so that way you make sure I'm good, because all my money is tied up in Target. And so therefore, if you don't buy from me, if Black people boycott the store, they're not going to buy from me, because they're the majority of my customers at the store. They're not going to buy from me. And then Target's going to delist me. You're at the mercy of the store. You're at the mercy of the store. They own you, because if you have to choose between your morals and what you believe versus what you know to be right versus your money, those people own you. They just do. And I'm just so disappointed. I don't know. I just feel like this is an opportunity that they're missing out on. They're like, hey, continue to buy my products at the store, instead of, hey, don't buy my products there, because I'm riding with whatever we're doing, because we're not going to stand for this. We're going to vote with our dollars. Instead, here's my website, and the products are on my website. You can buy them right now. You make more money anyway. I don't understand it. I've taught so many classes on getting into retail, because I'm in several retail stores. And I always say your website has to be primary. But if you want to get into retail, here's what you do. Be careful, because of all these costs that come with it. So I'm just so confused. And like I said, really disappointed and expected more. And and the person that we're talking about is not the only owner doing this. She's just the most famous, right? But there's others that I know. Some I know personally, some I don't. And they're all like, buy from Target. But here's the thing, Target isn't the only one. So I don't know why Target is the one that's getting picked on. Target's not the only one. Here's the thing, like, Facebook is part of this, but no one is saying don't use Facebook. No one is saying don't use Instagram. Everybody's using Instagram and Facebook just fine, but don't shop at Target. Like, okay, don't shop at Target, but then we still buy from Amazon, right? Come on. Still buy from Amazon, which has gotten rid of their DEI initiatives. Still on Facebook, still on Instagram, which has gotten rid of their DEI initiatives. Probably still buying Fords, which has gotten rid of their DEI initiatives. Still buying at McDonald's, which has gotten rid of their yeah. Like stopping buying at one store isn't going to fix the problem anyway. And it's not realistic for people to not buy at Target. People gonna buy at Target. So, I mean, I don't know why Target is the one that everybody is so keyed up about. But all these other companies, like if everybody stopped buying at Target, Walmart, Ford, Amazon, McDonald's, right? If everybody stopped buying those things, they will lose so much money. But it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. People gonna do what's convenient. Amazon is hella convenient. Walmart is super cheap. Target is convenient. It just is. So again, the answer is not, in my mind, you can try and make people do something they're not naturally going to do, but it's going to backfire every time. Telling people not to shop at these stores is not going to change nothing. What they need to do is tell people, here's how you build this generational wealth. You get out of freaking debt, you get your emergency savings up, and you invest in the stock market. It's very, very easy. That's what you do. Because they've been telling people to buy black, to boycott. They've been telling people that for my whole life. They've been telling people this my entire life, and it has not happened. Literally, it's a definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and over, and expecting a different result. Like it's not sustainable. Again, I'm not saying don't buy black. I want you to buy black. I have a black-owned business. I have a few, and I want you to buy from me. So yes, please buy black. But in the meantime, that's not how you fix the problem. It's not, because it's not, the majority of people are not going to do it anyway. The moment that people's money get tight, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, the moment that somebody's money gets tight and they have to choose between buying a black-owned, I don't know, lipstick, right, which might cost $15 because most black-owned businesses don't benefit from the economies of scale because they don't have the funding, like we talked about earlier, to benefit from that. Or you can buy Wet and Wild, which is not black owned, and let's say it costs $2, but you need the lipstick. Which one you gonna buy? You gonna buy the $2 one? That's what people gonna do. So people are not going to go out of their way to buy black when their money get tight. They're just not gonna do it. And I just feel like it's such a, like, it's just beating a dead horse to tell people buy black, buy black, without telling them also, hey, buy black, but also get out of fucking debt. Like, tell them that. Tell them get out of debt. Tell them make sure they have an emergency fund, like Maria with 8 months, right? Invest in the stock market. Like, who was that? Lakina sat around, put her money in there, end up with $15,000. I forgot, somebody earlier said, I think it was Gigi, she put her money in there and a year later she had $3,000. Like, that's how you make this work. That's how you affect change. You affect change through money. And the reason that we don't have much change power is because we don't have any money. We just don't. We're at the bottom of the totem pole economically. We make the least amount. We don't invest. We don't have no money. Some of us do, but most of us don't. And so, therefore, we will always be in these situations where we're at the mercy of somebody else, like these black-owned brands promoting that they're black and being the face of everything, but yet and still having to succumb to what someone who is not black wants to do about black people. You're a black-owned business. I told you I was going to get on my soapbox with this, y'all. This makes me so mad. You're a black-owned business, and you're begging black people to continue to buy from the people who are trying to keep you down so that you can make sure you got your money, because you didn't make sure that your money was straight to begin with by making sure your website was the number one place where people purchase. That's your fault. Like, make it make sense. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's hustling backwards. It's completely ass backwards. And it's bad. It's bad. Eureka says, I think getting out of debt, investing, and saving is very challenging depending on your circumstance. It is challenging. It is challenging, Eureka. I do not disagree with you. But you got to choose your heart, right? What's hard? Is it hard being in debt and owning a bunch of people and not having any money left? Or is it hard sacrificing, maybe not buying some of the stuff that you want for a little bit of time so you can pay down the debt so that you don't have that weighing over your head? You got to choose the hard, right? It's like working out and exercise. Like, it's really hard being overweight. I'm sorry, it's really hard working out and eating right and making better food choices, but it's also really hard being overweight. It's summertime, you hot, you sweating all over the place. It's like, it's hard. Either one is hard. You are not you per se, but a person, right? Might be overweight and suffering with all sorts of medical issues that are preventable because, they need to fix their weight. That's hard. And working out every day, not eating the sweet potato pie when it's on the table, not going to the potluck at work, not drinking, all those things, that's hard as well. But you got to choose your heart. It's all hard. All this shit is hard, right? But which hard do you choose, right? I choose, hey, it was hard as hell paying $147,000 off in 8 months. It was really, really hard, like telling my son, no, I cannot buy you those Crocs right now because we got to get out of this debt. No, you cannot go to wherever he wanted to go, some tickets to some concert because that's super hard. It was hard when my friend said, hey, we going to Paris. It's a girls trip to Paris. Let's go. You in? And I have to say no. That was hard because I want to go to freaking Paris. But guess what? I chose the hard to make sure I got paid that debt off. So now if I want to go to Paris, I can go whenever. But I couldn't go at that time because I had to choose the hard. And the hard was saying, no, I can't do that right now because I have to pay off this debt. And that's got to be prioritized. It is what it is, right? So I agree with you completely, Eureka. And I think everyone would agree with you. It is hard getting out of debt. It's hard saving and it's hard investing. But when you choose the one hard, right, which is, let's say the first hard is getting out of debt, right? And you see how much your life frees up when you have that money available and you're not paying somebody else interest. You're not paying for a t-shirt that you bought 2 years ago and you still paying on it because you're paying interest on it 2 years later, right? When that happens and you have that win, the next hard is not as hard because you already have a win under your belt. So the second hard is like saving. It's like, well, yeah, I got to save up $20,000, $30,000 so I can have 3 to 6 months of living expenses, right? But I already paid off my debt. So if I did that, I could probably do this. So it's a little less hard because you have a win and you can do it, right? And then once you actually get that done, at that point, you investing and you're paying yourself every time. And keep in mind, when you're saving, you are paying yourself. If you are good with paying somebody else, you should be joyful to pay yourself. If you're good with paying somebody else for a car, a t-shirt, a vacation, some shoes, a video game system, right? If you're good with paying somebody else that, putting it on a credit card or whatever, paying debt on it, paying interest on it, if you have no problem paying that, you should be ecstatic to pay yourself because you can take that same money that you were paying somebody else and you can pay yourself with it now, right? Because that's really all saving is. Like, people say it's hard to save, but it's really not. Not especially if you don't have any debt. It's way hard. It's way easier. Especially if when hair and nails, Akina, exactly. Because we put all that stuff on, and I'm not saying don't buy those things. If you can afford it, buy it, right? But remember, just because you can pay for it don't mean you can afford it. It's two different things. And so you just gotta choose your heart. I'm telling you right now, my son, I love him dearly, but he is, y'all, he's 14 and we having some challenges. My sweet little baby ain't sweet little baby no more. He talking to me like he crazy and like, don't let this sweet little face fool you. Like, I'm from 116th and Miles in Cleveland. Like, that's like this inner city. Like, I will square up on you, sir. Like, right? And so, I've had to, he's on punishment right now for 3 months. It's a long time. 3 months. And me and his dad had a conversation. We're on the same page about it. And his dad was just like, he can be on punishment for the rest of the year as far as I'm concerned. But I'm like, let's just, 3 months is fine, And so he's on punishment for the next 3 months. That is so hard. I had to take away the thing he loves the most. I take away basketball. And he loves basketball. He's really good at it too. Like, really, really good at it. And he just got on this like really competitive AAU team. Really hard to get on. He just got on it like last week. Gotta take it away. Gotta take it away. And he can get back on it should things change, right? But as of right now, he's off and he was devastated. But he put it on himself. That was so hard. And my son's dad was like, you know what? I think you've been too soft on him. I think he needs to lose basketball. I think he needs to lose all these other social activities that he does. And he needs to just have nothing to do until he fixes what he's done. And that is basically he will go to school, he'll come home, he'll do homework, he'll do some chores, and he'll go to bed. He'll eat. That's it. That's his life for the next 3 months. That is so hard. But I'm choosing that hard because I know these 3 months of hard is going to prepare him and make him better for the next 3 years, for the next 30 years of his life, because he has to learn his lesson, right? And I have been super lenient on him. This is my baby. It's my only child, right? And so, when your parents would say to you when you were younger, like, this is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. That's exactly what I'm feeling right now. Like, this hurts me so bad to see him like devastated and, but you gotta learn your lesson. So I'm choosing that hard. It would be a whole lot easier to just be like, continue to do what you do. And, we'll just continue to deal with this problem. But, we got to choose hard. So, and that goes with everything in life, like parenting, fitness and nutrition, finances, everything, there's, hey, Nicole, we had to choose our heart. So, no, Janelle, don't tell me that. She said, wait till he's 18. It's worse. How is it worse when they turn 18? Don't they leave the house like, between 18 and 25 generally? Like, how's it get worse? I'm expecting it to get better. Lord, child, please don't tell me that. We need to talk because I need to understand why it gets worse. I don't want it to get worse because I'm at the point where I'm just like, with this parenting thing, like 0 stars on Yelp. I do not recommend it. Yeah, 0 stars. Sandra says, and what about if you're dealing with Shopify and Etsy? So what's what I was saying earlier is, Sandra, so Shopify is a platform where you sell your products. Etsy is a product where you sell your products on as well. They're more than likely not gonna, they're not focused on performance. You could sell 1 item a year on Shopify and you will still have a Shopify website. You could sell nothing on Etsy for 5 years and you will still have a website on Etsy, right? So what I'm saying is that these retail stores, your livelihood, your company's finances, you being able to serve your customers at the highest ability, you being able to provide job security as much as you can to your staff when you're in these retail stores is dependent upon if you are performing. So if the wind blows the wrong way and for some reason for a period of 3 or 4 months you're not selling that well, they will be super quick to delist you, which means to get rid of you. And now you have no money because you have no income from these stores. Right. But Shopify, Etsy, none of that's tied to performance. Like it's all on you. Like if you make as much money as you want to or not, whatever, they don't really care because the way they make their money is through you making sales. So it's in their best interest. Now these retail stores, they're gonna make their money regardless. So they delist you because if you're not selling well, they can put somebody else on the shelf who is going to make them more money. Because remember, you're paying for shelf space, you're paying for promotions, you're paying for discounts, you're paying for damages, you're paying for everything in the retail stores. So they have multiple streams of income coming in just from one brand. So if you aren't showing up and your people aren't showing up and buying from you in those stores, then, they're like, well, we'll kick you out and put somebody else in. Shopify is not doing that. Shopify is like, they only make their money off of, they charge you a fee every month to have a website. And then they charge you what do you call it? A credit card fee. Because all your sales obviously have to go through a credit card or debit card, right? So they charge you that, which is like 3% or something like that. Whereas the retail stores, they're taking 50% off top. So yeah, just different on platforms that you can control. Lakina says, when I bless my 9-year-old son with money, because of how I have been intentional and strategic about our money conversations, when people bless her son with money, his question is always, which investment account should he put it in? I love that. I love that for you. Constance says he'll thank you later. I appreciate. He ain't thinking me right now, but I'm probably, which is so funny because just 2 days ago he's like, "Oh my gosh, you're the best mom ever." That was before he got punishment, and now, he probably not too happy with me, but yeah, he will thank me later. Because I remember my mom put me on punishment for an entire semester once, an entire semester, which is like 4 months. And I can promise you, I never made that mistake again, ever in life. And I had my own phone line. Y'all, I was doing it when I was 16. I had my own phone line. This is before cell phones, right? So you know how like you had like your main phone at your parents' house, and then like your parents like do buy a second phone line for you to have. So I had that. So when I was growing up, like if you had your own line, like you were like chef's kiss. You were doing it, right? I had my own phone line. I had a car. I had what else? I had a pager. And so most of my friends didn't have cars. I was like the ride for everybody. So I had all the things. And I thank you guys for getting up to 100 likes. I appreciate y'all for getting us to 100 likes. And my mom took all that away. The only thing I could do was go to work, go to school, come home. I couldn't even play volleyball no more. So I was in the middle of volleyball season and she took me off the volleyball squad. So, but I ain't never, ever, ever, ever make that mistake no more. So, and I haven't made it as an adult because I learned my lesson when I was 16. Sugar says, stop thinking you have to buy everything designer or the most expensive car and know you can't afford it, but you want that look for the public. Screw that. Put the money in the stock market. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I really don't think the majority, I think I could be wrong. I don't have any stats on this, but I just don't think the vast majority of people are spending money on a bunch of designer stuff. They may spend money on a fancy car, but I don't think the majority of people are doing that. I think the majority of people are buying everyday items and just putting it on credit. I think people are shopping at a Target, which is not crazy expensive, or a Walmart, and they're putting on credit and they're paying more because they're paying 22% interest on the credit card for something that they bought 2 years ago. I think that's what's happening. Because I know a lot of people say, well, don't buy designer clothes. I don't really know a whole lot of people walking around in Gucci and Prada. They may have like a really nice bag. They may have like a Louis bag, but I don't know how a lot of people that only buy like Yves Saint Laurent or only buy Gucci or whatever. I don't really know people like that. Do you? Do you guys know people like that? Janelle said it will get worse when he turns 18 because they were talking to you crazy because they feel grown. I really think that's what's happening with mine right now because he's much taller than me. He's 6 feet. He just turned 14 like 2 weeks ago. And he's much taller than me. He's bigger than me. And I think that he thinks that he's got some authority. I think that's what's going on. So yeah. Yeah, Sugar says pay yourself 10% each pay period. Yes, ma'am. And if you can pay yourself even more, do that. And what we mean by pay yourself first is pay yourself your savings account, right? That's paying yourself first. Putting money into an investment account, that's paying yourself first. Anytime you put money into an account that is for you, you're literally paying yourself. Okay. So I know the term pay yourself first. Some people get like, what does that even mean? It literally means view yourself as a bill. So if you get paid, what Sugar is saying, take 10% of that and put it towards your bill. So if you get paid, put it towards your personal bill. So if you get paid $5,000 in a month, $500 of that is going to pay you first. That means it's going to a savings account or it's going into an investment account. Lakina says they truly understand and appreciate it when they mature and become successful, like her 25-year-old college degree head coach. Okay, well, that's good to know. That's good to know they eventually appreciate it because he don't appreciate it right now. But thank you all for listening to my story. Yes, Lakina, just like you tithe. Yep, just like you tithe. You pay yourself 10%, pay the Lord 10%. You pay your pay yourself 10% or 20% or whatever you can afford. Okay. All right, y'all. I'm gonna let y'all go. We've been here for over 2 hours. I've been chopping it up. I appreciate you all being here. Hopefully, this has shed some light into what's going on with DEI, and not only kind of got us to talk about that, but also what we can do. So, bottom line, pay your debt, save for your emergency savings, and if you have money in a retirement account right now, if you have money in a retirement account right now, I don't want that money sitting there. I want that money invested. So invest that money. So I'm not even saying you got to go get new money, but the money that you have in there, most of you guys don't invest in your 401ks and your HSAs and all that sort of stuff. Invest that money. If you need help with that, we have the Fix My Money Challenge coming up again, probably in April. You can just Google Fix My Money Challenge and you can sign up for it if you want to. But we'll talk more about that as we get further. But I'll teach you how to actually do that. But bottom line is see what money you have in your 401k and don't just have it sitting there, because every dollar that's not moving is a dead dollar. That means it's losing money to inflation every single week or every single day. And we don't want that for you, especially during this administration when the stock market is more than likely going to rise, but job security is at a low. Stock market's going to rise, so you got to put money in the stock market, but your job security is in question. So we want to make money, not be worried about our money. All right. Thank you all for joining today, and thank you for allowing me into your phones, your TVs, your computer screens, at work, at home, wherever you are. If you're watching on replay, I appreciate you as well. Thank you for getting me to over 100 likes, you guys. I love you all. Have an amazing, amazing, amazing rest of your day. Janelle said, yes, it's because your son is taller and has a girlfriend, which is what I'm dealing with right now. My son is still in high school. Oh, girl. That doesn't give me a lot of hope. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And Sharon, I'm still praying for you. I'm hoping that you find another role, or that they move you somewhere else that allows you to continue to keep your income, because we don't want you to not have that. Okay. All right, you guys, have a wonderful day. Love you all. Bye.